Yes.
Namaskar. This is Dr. Shraddha Mohanti. I am glad to be a part of Swatantra Bharat 75 Expert Lecture Series, The Genius of India as the Key to the Crisis of Humanity, organized by Vivekanand Kendra Kanyakumari and Vivekanand Prabodhini Mumbai. I am thankful to Vivekanand Kendra and Vivekanand Prabodhini for inviting me in this lecture series. My topic for today is Sri Aurobindo's educational vision materializing into reality through transformational changes in the education system like the new education policy 2020. Before I begin, I would like to talk about the term education. In general sense, education means teaching and receiving knowledge. It includes the process of facilitating learning and values. Education in the national field has an important role in 20th century India. Even if it means many things in terms of learning, but in its practical sense, in the present day society, education has become bound to the study of textbooks, bookish, traditional knowledge, or our learning during school and college days. It should be the training of mental mind of the kids, molding their vision, training of their vitals, helping the children to reveal their inner faculties. But sadly, due to lot of pressure of completion of syllabus, it becomes very difficult for the educators to think about imparting education in the real sense of the word. Kindly change the slide. There have been many eminent personalities and scholars who have given different theories on education. Swami Vivekananda says that through education, we learn to control and dominate our moral evils and limit their speed. The mode of learning must not only be books, but also nature, because nature teaches us the utility of education. Various philosophers have laid out different principles or guidelines of education, and the base for these principles or guidelines was actually the background, experience, and milieu of these philosophers. In our country, various upheavals took place when Britishers tried to divide Bharatvarsha culturally and intellectually. Hence, the focus of the nationalist leaders came upon reviving the past glory of India and to recreate a sense of pride among Indians by motivating them to learn the tradition, culture, and various religious values of Bharat. The value of using Indian languages as a medium of education was discovered at that time. Different educationalists, they played an active role in imparting the learning. Sri Rabindranath Tagore, he formed Vishwa Bharati University. Satish Chandra formed Dawn Society. And Sri Aurobindo established Sri Aurobindo Ashram at Pondicherry. When schools and colleges were opened, of late, many clashes started taking place because a difference was seen in the syllabus or the education imparted at different places. To overcome these discrepancies, a national education system, the National Council of Education, was formed on 11th March 1906. Kindly change the slide. When the National College was founded, Sri Aurobindo became principal of the National College. Another college was also opened for spreading technical and engineering subject knowledge, which later on came to be known as the Jadavpur University. A large number of schools were opened everywhere, especially in West Bengal. We all know this through history books. And when Britishers, they started imposing Carlisle education, that circular, which banned Indian students or pupils from taking part in any political movement. At that time, the National Council of Education stood firmly. Sri Aurobindo's views on education were relevant at that time and are relevant till now. And these rules and ideals would become the base of the future education system of our country. National education policy has also used the views of Sri Aurobindo on education as its base. The main aim of education, according to Sri Aurobindo, is to concentrate towards the spiritual development and upliftment of the motherland. He wanted to advance countrymen on a spiritual path. He wanted that Indians should have a spiritual aim towards education. Their values must be based upon their spiritual ideal. For India's target of teaching spirituality to the material world and all her children must be through education, which must be given to all irrespective of their class, creed, or social status. He believed that education will help in getting political emancipation and universal harmony with its focus on man, nation, and internationalism. National education, as per Sri Aurobindo, cannot be defined in one or two sentences, as it is the education that started from past traditions that makes full use of the present to build up a great future nation. He believed that youth and all the youngsters must be conscious of their aim and their cultural heritage. Individualism may be the goal of a person when he or she wants to improve his or her level of consciousness, but the national spirit and inner feeling of universal harmony comes first. Sri Aurobindo gave importance to this national spirit and universal harmony before an individual. Because man is not a mere body, but vital energy, ego self. He has a reasoning mind and vast imagination. And all his faculties need to be developed to create a perfect and ideal society. There should be a harmony between outer nature and inner spirit. Please change the slide. The main aim of life should be the identity with the inherent divine and the aspect of evolution of matter, life, and doctrine of integral education focuses upon the development of body, vital, that is life, mind, and soul. Here, Sri Aurobindo talks about four-fold development of a child. He says that physical training or bodily growth and development is important if we want to seek perfection within. He said If we're seeking for the total perfection of the being, the physical part of it cannot be left aside, for the body is the material basis. The body is the instrument which we have to use. And this bodily upliftment should not be ignored. And here comes the necessity of games and sports that are helpful in bringing out the inner potential of the children. Vital training, vital or sense organs, eye, ear, nose, skin, palate, are the aspects of vital. It also includes internal sense organs like chitta or manas.
Is it stopped, madam? Yes, I think it had stopped for a while. So
Yeah, it has stopped.
no problem, no problem. You can start. It's going well. I'll
Mhm.
again present, and
Okay.
yeah, we'll go ahead.
Yeah. On screen.
Just keep the voice steady. In between, it is just dropping down. If
Yes,
possible,
sir.
please keep it steady. Should I
Please,
should I start
please.
sharing?
Yeah. Please repeat what you told. I have to speak it.
No, same. It is going well. In between,
Yeah.
some words just go down. Means voice is inaudible in couple of words. Then again, it
Okay.
becomes normal. So maybe your distance is going to and fro naturally in
Yeah.
slow
Yeah.
speaking. So can you
Okay.
please? You can just take a note of it. That's all. If
Okay.
possible.
Okay.
Otherwise, leave it.
Yeah. Sure. Sure.
I'll just share the screen now, and in between this part will cut. Okay.
Yeah. Sure.
Editing time will cut it. I'm sharing the.
Yeah.
Its movements are going correctly.
Okay. Open this door.
You can start now. I'm just maximizing the screen, madam.
Yes, sir.
You want break?
No. 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 Not at all. Yeah. So, is it
So
okay? Yes.
yeah, it is okay. I will just minimize this, put on the screen. My
Yes. Yes.
audio will be off. That's why I'm telling now. Huh? So
Okay.
once
Okay.
once you start seeing the screen, you can straight away start speaking.
Okay. Bodily growth and development are must and very important because without a strong body, it becomes difficult for children or an individual to work upon his own self. That is why body as an instrument cannot be ignored. Here comes the necessity of games and sports that are helpful in bringing out the inner potential of the child. Under vital training comes all the sense organs like eye, ear, nose, skin, and palate. Along with these fall the internal sense organ that includes chitta or manas. In this part exists the roots of different feelings, desires, sentiments, impulses, and emotions that determine factors of person's character. Proper nourishment of senses will generate generosity and nobility factors in children according to Sri Aurobindo. Mental training includes the development of mind, The development of Antahakaran, that is one of the instruments for educationalists. All the teachers, mentors, they feel that mind is an instrument, and that is the only part which should be trained in a child. This faculty can be nurtured by the mentor or teacher. Memory power, power of imagination, power of judgment comes under it, and it needs to be boosted. Sri Aurobindo says that it is necessary to sharpen the logic of the child through training, but without providing any external pressure upon the student. He has also introduced psychic training in his ideas of education. Psychic training aims to comprehend the true motive of human life and reason of one's existence. For this unique psychic training program, the eternal principal soul upon which existence is based is our psychic being. Sri Aurobindo goes further to the possibility of turning human into a supramental being and aims to show the difficult part of the essence of human race towards Satchidanand and call him upon earth. The integral education theory of Sri Aurobindo aims at wholesome transformation of a student's life and has three central aims. Kindly change the slide. For an individual, the central aim includes to outgrow the fullest possibilities and potential of his soul. For the nation, the aim is to strengthen and enrich the national or the nation's soul and to focus upon its dharma. And for the advancement of both individual and nation in such a way that it can grow into the ascending power of mind and soul of humanity. He wanted to realize the amalgamation of individual and nation. In the Educational Policy 2020, it has been realized that with the quickly changing employment landscape, I am trying to quote the words that were mentioned in the National Education Policy itself. With the quickly changing employment landscape and global ecosystem, it is becoming increasingly critical that children not only learn, but more importantly, they learn how to learn. So here, somehow we can relate this with Sri Aurobindo's theory of integral education, where he focuses not upon the subject matter or a wholesome content or maximum books, but he wants the children to understand how to develop learning. Education must move towards less content and more learning. And this is the need that students should learn to solve the problems in a critical manner, to be very creative with a multidisciplinary approach in an innovative manner. And it is very important for them to absorb new material in a very novel manner because of the changing fields and the changed scope of educational world. Please change the slide. Sri Aurobindo has given various principles of integral education. He says that nothing can be taught. A student is born with possibilities, and it is the duty of the master, mentor, or teacher to encourage him so that gradual development takes place. The trainer has to show the way of development that aligns with the energy of the child, with his central aim, and in such a manner that the child is provided a base for his thinking. Providing a lot of information to the child is not necessary because nothing can be taught. The duty of a teacher is to evoke that knowledge from within. A child has to grow in this natural growth, in this process, and nothing can be impeded. Rather, liberty should be provided to the student to nourish his inner potential, and for this, an educator needs to work in harmony from near to far, from that which is to that which shall be. It is a mistake to think of separating the natural environment of the child from education program, because the natural environment helps to nurture the inherent development of the child. Even the prakriti or the nature of the individual plays an important role. Children can be of sattvic nature, tamasic nature, or rajasic nature, or it can be a mixture of two different type of gunas. Now here all these words must not be taken in its literally sense, and to understand the meaning of these qualities, these gunas, it is essential for the educator to have a good command over Indian scriptures and philosophy. It becomes imperative for the students to have the knowledge of Srimad Bhagavad Gita so that they realize their hidden talent and try to bring out that inner potential. Some may say that these all are beyond human limit and it may be a metaphorical goal, but spiritual education is must for realizing oneself. Of now, this need has been realized among children because of the problems which humanity has faced, or maybe because of the time which educators and students got. They have realized a need to focus and rely upon their inner potential and to understand themselves. Sri Aurobindo has mentioned in his magnum opus, Life Divine, about 4 austerities: tapasya of love, tapasya of power, tapasya of knowledge, and tapasya of beauty. He also talked about 4 liberations: emotional, that is freedom from the narrow limits of suffering; mental liberation, that is freedom from the ignorance and detachment from divine; vital liberation, that is freedom from narrow, self-centered, egoistic attitude; and physical liberation, that is liberation of materialistic achievements as one's sole goal. These liberations and austerities are important to reach the ultimate end of life divine. Integral education has to follow this 4-fold path. Sri Aurobindo has made it clear that all that seems beyond reach can be achieved in the field of education that is self-dependent and does not rely on foreign methods. Kindly change the slide. To commemorate the 150th birth anniversary of Sri Aurobindo, on 20th December, our Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi chaired a meeting where he emphasized upon Sri Aurobindo's philosophy of involution and evolution. He said that youth should be encouraged towards the concept of greatness as embodied in the philosophy of Nar to Narayan. It is the dharma of every individual, each child, to understand that he can develop his consciousness to such a level that his life can turn towards beauty, knowledge, and liberation from all the attachments. It is the responsibility of India as a spiritual guru of the world to contribute in terms of spiritualism to nations across the globe. Here, few practices are also provided for practical implementation of the integral education theory provided by Sri Aurobindo. Shraddhalu Ranade from Sri Aurobindo Ashram, Pondicherry, has given various lectures, and he has also written books where he talks about the establishment of the ideals of integral education given by Sri Aurobindo. He says that it is very important for the child to have the awareness of their body. They should develop the understanding of their emotional and mental domain, their feelings, sentiments, understanding, perception, and critical thinking. And the industrial mindset of reading the books, completing syllabus, appearing for exam, getting good marks in the assessment, and getting selected for a job should not be the end point for an individual. The basic concepts of education include not only the teacher, but taught the child who should be put at the forefront, because knowledge cannot be imparted without the presence, and that too pure presence with full concentration of the learner. Here, environment of the child or the learner also plays an important role. So, schooling for kids is not a necessity. Schooling for kids is a way of molding them and turning their life inward so that they can realize themselves. All the qualities that they have should come in forefront with the help and guidance of the teacher or educator. The National Education Policy also focuses upon the training of teachers so that they can guide students in a true manner. And Sri Aurobindo has always talked about the importance of teachers in the field of education. Kindly change the slide. This is the high time when we should be engaged in trying to rediscover our civilizational roots, and we should try to build a newer country, a new India. We need the education that generates scientific spirit, and with amalgamation of this scientific spirit with India's cultural and spiritual sense. After the new education policy, the quest for Atmanirbhar Bharat and the quest for a new approach to India's education are movements that aim at fundamentally alternating the economic, educational, and intellectual dimension of our country. The vision of a self-reliant country and the vision of a new education for India are the two aspects which Sri Aurobindo has begun his public life with. The Swadeshi, industrial and art movement, the national educational movement, which saw a mass response, were the foundations on which Sri Aurobindo argued the superstructure of freedom could be built and sustained. Arguing for this commercial and educational Swaraj in his speeches and writings of that period, Sri Aurobindo spoke of a Swadeshi, which encourages Indian labor, Indian manufacture, preferring our own goods and giving them a little stimulus. Kindly change the slide. The new education policy thus reflects and embodies the essence, the core of Sri Aurobindo's educational vision. It aims to realize Sri Aurobindo's educational vision in this deep moment of awakening. Our Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi in his speech has suggested that almost around 150 universities across the country should be involved in writing papers on different aspects of the spiritual leader Sri Aurobindo's life and philosophy. And if his life is studied from all aspects, for example, Sri Aurobindo as a teacher, as a politician, as an educator, or as a spiritual guru, the students will be involved in understanding, searching, and realizing our great historical and spiritual heritage, including all the philosophers and educationalists from post-independence and pre-independence India, which will help them to understand the true motive of education in the Indian sense of the word. The National Education Policy is vision of Sri Aurobindo for a liberated Indian mind. It is the departure from the colonial tradition, and it presents the vision of a new and resilient Indian. The new Education Policy 2020, which was approved by the Union Cabinet on 29 July this year, is truly the first public policy that both documents state in the post-modern or post-independent history of India. It is a relation of traditional education with the modern needs that have evolved in the arena of educational field. It is a relooking of the educational system that we have inherited from our colonial masters. We all know that Lord Thomas Babington Macaulay, he has introduced English education in India in the 19th century, and his purpose was to produce babus who think with the borrowed mind and who act as a bridge between Indian subjects and colonial masters. If this is continued, it will not help, or it would not help the child to create the new India which all the philosophers and educational leaders have dreamed of. Now is the time to re-establish the framework of education that is in harmony with the consciousness of resurgent nation, so that Indian mind gets rid of the Western paradigm. The two major policy initiates that took place in 1968 and in 1986 to review the educational policy, they were also within this Western paradigm. This policy is addressing the needs of the community to plan the education in resonance with the Indian values. Sri Aurobindo has emphasized upon communication process, which is incomplete unless and until it is designed from the recipient's point of view. It is the need of the present education system to realize that a child in the basic years of his life must be imparted knowledge through his mother tongue. Children have lot of inner faculty of understanding and learning different languages, but their basic education must start in their mother tongue. When this new system of 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4 pattern is introduced in the National Education Policy, it has actually made the education and the inclusion of the mother tongue into the education imparted to the child. This policy has far-reaching radical changes that are focusing upon the learner psychology, which liberates the learners and motivate them to take such occupations that are organic to their nature and natural atmosphere or their environment. Flexibility is an important aspect which cannot be ignored if we want to bring radical changes in our education system. The flexible choice-based system is the need of the hour. And now it is the high time to make our mark in the field of advanced research into teaching and various other related fields of education system. Our focus should be the creation of knowledge generation along with knowledge sharing. It is beautiful that Sri Aurobindo's views have become the base of the new education policy. And I hope that this vision will be realized. I am also an educator and I come into contact with various students of all age groups. And I have realized that we cannot enforce anything upon the child because it inhibits their natural growth and development pattern. Every child is an individual, and if he or she has been given flexible choices, then the person will get time to understand himself from a tender age. Please change the slide. It is said that civilizations grow. This thought has been presented by the mother of Sri Aurobindo Ashram. She has said that civilizations grow as long as they have lived by their ideals, and they decline when they turned away from it. Rome was having the ideal of order and discipline. Greek society and civilization have kept beauty of form and elegance of thought as their order. Hebrew civilization were holding upon the ideals of ethics and morality. In the same manner, Japanese civilization held upon the love of art. And India's ideal is and has always been of spirituality, to leave the world as the spiritual guru. And if we stay away from this ideal, then it will become impossible to realize the spiritual potential of the country and to lead her towards becoming the world guru. So, I would like to conclude that the new education policy and the base provided by Sri Aurobindo's integral education theory and philosophy must be understood and read by all the mentors, educationalists, and students. This is the time when all the youngsters must come into multifarious fields of research, scientific inquiry, because the world is changing at a very high speed, and currently we are seeing different forces attacking our country. Presently, we also faced pandemic, and we never know what all endemics are going to come. But more importantly, it is essential for the children to develop inner strength and potential along with their interest of research into different fields that have come in front of them, so that they work towards serving their country, their motherland. And we all must come together and come forward to lead the whole world as the spiritual leader. Thank you very much. Namaskar.